Overmaska here with another quick and dirty Tactica. Chaos versus Harlequins, 2000 points, 9th edition. Still doing it on Tabletop Simulator. We've got, at least in my area, the grips of COVID-19, so we're trying to be safe. And remember, the more seriously we take it, the more of us that can play after it's over. But on to today. Today I ran a chaos list of Slaanesh with one exception. This large 20-man squad of Chaos Space Marines is Mark of Khorne, and that's for the double fight stratagem. We're running Red Corsairs for the advance and charge, so everyone has the ability to advance and charge one way or another. Just a very forward pressure heavy list. My opponent was running Harlequins. The players all have fusion pistols, as I believe is correct. It's just so much damage. The spice here is he's taking a Ynnari detachment out of the Drukhari Codex with your brain for some psychic support and Archon because they're really quite decent characters with the ability to get some CP regen off a Warrior trait. But the big reason to take them is the cult, or the Court of the Archon. It lets you get a lot of these single model infantry units, which you can use for display scramblers among other secondaries. This is the table we fought on. This was sweep and clear. So we're using these corners. These large middle pieces of terrain really change the flow of battle, as you'll see as we move on. So the secondaries that I chose were direct assault, raise the banners, and engage on all fronts. Not a lot of good killing secondaries against the Harlequins. It's one of the reasons why they're top tier. The Harlequins chose direct assault, deploy scramblers, and engage all fronts. The Urgles being used to deploy scramblers quite effectively, but being both mobility-based armies, we had very similar secondaries. So deployment, we have the Harlequins bunching up behind their big center piece of terrain, which I don't blame them. I did much the same. I did make a minor mistake here. I put my Lord Discordant behind the Defiler when honestly I should have flipped it. I was thinking that the Lord Discordant is faster, and so if somebody has to be in the back, it could be him, because you don't want to trickle in. But by doing this, I've caused myself to trickle in, because now he's not going to make it as fast as the Keeper of Secrets. And of course, the Defiler has guns, and so can be contributing even if it's not charging. So I won the die roll and went first, which was a big help to me in this battle. But it did mean that these units that I deployed over here, so they didn't get chewed up, could have been put here and put in holding this objective, which would have really changed the outcome of this game. Honestly, I should have done it anyway, because if Demonettes go down, I had the backup squad of Marines who would have gotten to it in the second turn like these Demonettes would have. And then I always do this. My Demon Prince is so fast and can jump over terrain, but he always warp times his big 20-man blob straight into the enemy and sits out in the open like a fool. He gets killed like one. I needed to get somebody closer to him. At the end of the turn, I did slingshot my 20-man squad into their lines, killing some stuff, mostly making it so they can't advance, lowering their mobility somewhat. In armies, against armies that are not Harlequins, this would be actually pretty much a death sentence, because they'd be locked up in their deployment zone for far too long, but Harlequins can advance, or can fall back and shoot and fall back and charge. And so it's not quite as debilitating as it ought to have been. Oh, and all their models can just walk over your models with their flip belts. And so 3 is not as defended as I would have liked it to be. But as you can see, I got direct assault and an engage in all fronts this turn. Going into the Harlequins, as you can see, the Urgul trying to get that, getting ready for that deploy scramblers. No, succeeding on that deploy scramblers because he was in the middle area. We have a bike contesting objective 4 from me. An empty Skyweaver getting the engage in all fronts and having good firing lines. One full of players coming to give my Demon Prince a bad time. And then just a bunch of players shuffling out to deal with this Chaos Space Marine threat. I had hoped that 1 would survive, and then I could spend 3 CP for more where they came from to get the unit back, but the Harlequins are quite deadly, and they made very few of their armor saves, and it just wasn't going to happen. I have been thinking about giving Delightful Agonies to the Chaos Space Marines in the future, giving them that 5-up Feel No Pain. I hadn't because my Shalaxi, the name Demon Prince, doesn't have a source of Feel No Pain inherently, so I've been giving Delightful Agonies to them, but in this matchup it would have been pretty good to give it to these guys, although I would have had to find another source of it, another Psyker, because I don't believe the Demon Psychic Power can be put onto Space Marines. Just idle thoughts, to be honest. I would need to shift the list around. Yeah, so at the end of the battle round, we have heroically intervened into their vehicles. We killed 1, whiffed on another. Their players have gotten out, and this is not a great place for this Keeper of Secrets to be. The players with their melted pistols, even through the exaltation of -1 to wound with ranged weapons, pose a serious threat, and I'm not threatening this side of the board at all yet. They have their direct assault, they have their first layer of deploy scramblers, putting the 1 here just to remember that we've done that, and they're engaged in all fronts. So, we've moved the Bikers up, we moved Shalaxi up, looking to make that threat on this side. I was unfortunately blocked by the players and my own large base, and this is actually a very large mistake. Had I consolidated in or something or another so that I could get this Lord Discordant through, then I would be presenting 2 threats into their deployment zone, which probably would have collapsed it, as opposed to what actually happened of only getting Shalaxi in and then eating 10 multi-shots, and then presenting a Lord Discordant and eating 5 multi-shots. Trickling in is a good way to get yourself picked apart. So yeah, at the end of Chaos turn 2, we've killed the Lemayan that was trying to block us, we killed the bikes, and we've got 10 melted pistols there. We have killed the center Venom, or not Venom, Skyweaver, but the players have gotten out because holding 3 from us still, because none of us are objective secured. We've got the banners going. We've got Demonettes coming up on this objective, but there's more players on it now. Yeah. This Urgle's still hanging out. While we've taken over the battlefield, there's still a good number of Harlequins exactly where they need to be, and that's going to be a running theme for this battle report. At the end of Harlequin's movement, the players have come out. They're trying to deal with the Demonettes so that they don't get overrun. The players have just shifted over to get better shots. And then there's an Urgle here now, deploying Scramblers. I could have used these bikes to screen out this Urgle, and given what they do for the rest of the battle, that might have been the way to go. Denying those 10 secondary points would have taken a lot to keep these bikers spread out all the way back here. But honestly, I think it would have been worth it. As you can see, the Harlequins continue to be exactly where they need to be, exactly when they need to be, even with their dwindling model count. The score is still close, even though that I've taken over most of the board. This is due to their good tricks and their good positioning. Chaos Movement turn 3. These bikes are in a pretty terrible way. There's no reason for them to be spread out like this. I wanted to get shots on these players, and I wanted to kill these players, but I have these Marines to kill these players, and I should just have shot my bikes up here and come back down on them, presenting 2 threats. But every opportunity that I have to present 2 threats, I take the opportunity to present 1 threat. Yes, this is what I was talking about. My biggest mistake of the game. But not my funniest. We're still waiting for the funniest mistake. So yes, at the end of Chaos Turn 3, I have a single model over here, a bunch of bikes that are out of position, and mostly mastery of the board still. Oh yes, this Keeper Seekers killed this Urgle, forcing the players to take an action, the small group of 3, instead of shooting multi-shots. That was fairly good play, but it's not enough to make up for whatever this was supposed to be. Harlequin movement turn 3, he's got a souped up Troop Master here, and these players, and these bikes are not going to survive that encounter. This bike has moved over to get the engage on all fronts because there was a single one that I failed to kill with a Defiler. This player is going to cause me ruin. He's still got a bunch of characters hiding out back here. Just enough Harlequins in the right spots. This is, like I said, these bikes did not survive that encounter. These Demonettes barely survived that encounter, and in return did kill that player. Score still tight. Yeah, so these Marines come out, they're going to deal with this bike. This Demonette has hidden some, but not enough, because the flip belts and the speed of the Harlequins is legendary. This Troop Master is going to give you a hard time. Yes, so we killed the players. Do not kill the Troop Master. Probably could have moved to block a little bit, but it honestly would not have been enough, because this Troop Master is going to kill this Demonette and take my banner down. Still got a bunch of characters back here, and I think a unit of 3 players. So, end of Harlequin's turn 4, we got a Yvraine back here, hiding out. She had taken a few straight bolter rounds earlier and doesn't want to take more. We got an Archon, we got a Troop Master, we got a Troop Master, or no, a Shadow Seer, a Troop Master, another Troop Master, and it's just going to be Character City here. Troop Master takes my banner down, kills my Demonette. This one's getting an engage in all fronts points. This is the players that I was talking about. And again, they just continue to be exactly where they need to be to gain maximum points. Really well done on my opponent for that. He's really making this game competitive, where someone less skilled with Harlequins would have been out by now. Yeah, so this is my Chaos Hubris. This is my funniest mistake. Is I had attacked this troop master who was here, failed to do any damage, brought my demonettes forward to attack the troop master, failed to charge, and because of that, he kills all these demonettes, pulls this banner down. This Archon comes forward, pulls the Defiler down, giving him exactly enough points to tie the game. I didn't need to make the charge. In my defense, doing the charge and killing his troop master would have minimized my opponent's score, but minimizing the opponent's score is only half of winning the game. I was in the lead. That if I had just pulled back on objective 3 and this objective, I would have won by at least 1 point, but instead, I tie the game 83 to 83. But I like to think it was a fluffy choice. You don't get to be playing Slaanesh Chaos without a little bit of vainglory in your blood. Well, that's all I had for you today. Over Muska out.